Greetings. R. Frederick Riddle here with another Christian news and views. And this is episode 224, also known as Friday Recap. Well, on Monday, we began with a lot of issues. I dealt with several, and I'm narrowing it down now to just a couple, I believe, because it was such a busy day. The first one is the Supreme Court has already expanded President Donald Trump's authority in a string of emergency rulings. Trump began imposing tariffs in February, declaring a series of emergencies under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA. The law allows the president to take actions on trade in response to foreign threats, but Trump is the first to use it to assert powers to impose virtually unlimited authority to impose tariffs. Congress has delegated limited authority to the president to impose tariffs, but the Constitution gave the legislature the power to levy taxes on imports. The president announced levies of 10 to 25% on goods from China, Mexico, and Canada for allegedly failing to stem the flow of fentanyl and other illegal drugs into the United States. In April, Trump imposed a universal 10% import tax on all trading partners and higher rates on roughly 60 countries, dubbing it Liberation Day. Trump wrote in his executive order on the latter tariffs that large and persistent U.S. trade deficits constitute an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and the economy of the United States. A handful of small businesses and a group of states filed separate lawsuits against the tariffs in April, saying they would cause widespread economic harm. The small businesses called Trump's imposition of tariffs an illegal power grab. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit ruled Friday the law did not give Trump that power. The statute bestows significant authority on the president to undertake a number of actions in response to the declared national emergency, but none of these actions explicitly include the power to impose tariffs, duties, or the like, or the power to tax. The majority wrote in the ruling. The third case, well, actually, in this case, the second one I'm covering today, on whether the Trump administration can freeze billions in foreign aid is part of a long-running legal standoff that is reaching ahead because the funds budgeted by Congress are set to begin expiring at the end of the fiscal year in September. We're in September now. As one of his first acts in office in January, Trump announced a wholesale pause on foreign aid, saying it was not in keeping with American interests or values. International aid groups sued, saying the block would cause a humanitarian crisis. It was a violation of the separation of powers since the Constitution gives Congress the power of the purse. U.S. District Judge Amir H. Ali found in February that Trump did not have the authority to withhold money in order that we restarted. A fierce legal battle followed over whether Trump officials were complying with the order. This month, actually August, a panel of appeals court judges blocked Ali's injunctions, saying the plaintiffs didn't have standing to sue. But the full appeals court did not allow that order to take effect while it considered whether to rehear the case. That prompted the Trump administration to ask the Supreme Court to step in to block Ali's order. The appeals court ultimately declined to rehear the case, but sent it back to Ali, leaving open the possibility the legal fight could continue and the AIDS groups could seek a new injunction on the aid freeze. That means the case could once again win its way back to the Supreme Court in the coming days, setting up a showdown over Trump's authority to impound funds. Separately, the Trump administration moved last week to use a little tested tactic known as a pocket rescission to unilaterally cancel about $5 billion of the foreign aid without congressional approval. Both Democratic and Republican leaders question the legality of the move, and it could spark additional legal challenges. So, my opinion at that point was that I tried to focus only on the tariffs, but in reality, it all comes down to what powers does the Constitution allow the president to exercise. So I'm not an expert on the Constitution, but although I've read it. I am of the opinion that if you are going to err, do so leaning toward presidential authority. Why? Because a country that is ruled by a Congress, a body of people, with all of them saying different things, and the possibility of stalemates, that tends towards a lack of decision making. The president, however, has the full responsibility to make the laws work. To do so, he needs discretion, he needs flexibility. So it appears to me that this entire issue is within a gray area that the Constitution is not absolutely about or absolute about. And again, I think you need to lean to the administration side or you become a nation stalemated and with inaction. But as a cautionary thing, I think the Supreme Court, while granting such an interpretation of the Constitution, should also clearly state where the presidential powers cease and congressional powers begin. Otherwise, you're going to have this fight not only now, but in future presidencies over and over again. They need to have some kind of a red line. You can go this far, no further. And right now there isn't any, or at least from I can see. Fast on Tuesday we talked about fast food. This I'm not going to go into this great deal. It's just about McDonald's. They're cutting prices, which is always a good thing. They had been losing customers, as have other fast food places, and that's because of the rising cost of fast food meals. So the price drop may induce rivals who have run into some of the same price issues to follow suit. So that'll be interesting to watch. I happen to like fast food. On Wednesday, Trump announced Tuesday, September 2nd, during a White House press conference that U.S. Space Command, one of the Defense Department's 11 combatant commands, will relocate to Colorado Springs, from Colorado Springs, Colorado, to Huntsville, Alabama. And my opinion on that was simply that it seemed logical, a logical move, and that had been apparently had been its original home. So those who are saying it would disrupt things are forgetting that they disrupted things to begin with when they under Biden when they moved there. So this is just something that I think they need to settle. And I personally, I think that Huntsville, Alabama is probably a more logical place than Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs has some infrastructure there and so forth, but Alabama, they've been involved in the defense industry for years, so I kind of think that that's where it probably should be. But we'll just see what the courts decide. On Thursday, we had Bible talk, and I talked about the Gutenberg Bible. And I talked about actually Gutenberg himself. This all took place. He built his movable type and published the first complete extant of the Bible in 1455. And there was another area, let's see, Korea, I think, and was printed in Korea 78 years before the Gutenberg Bible. And this is a book called the Anthology of Great Buddhist Priests Zen Teachings. That took place in 1377. As far as the Bible is concerned, it was the first. The Gutenberg Bible was the first one. And like other contemporary works, the Gutenberg Bible had no title page, no page numbers, and no innovations to distinguish, such as maps and glossaries and stuff of this nature. This is presumably the desire of both Gutenberg and his customers. Experts are generally agreed that the Bible, though non-economic in its use of space, displays a technical efficiency not substantially improved upon before the 19th century. The Gothic type is majestic in appearance, medieval in feeling, and slightly less compressed and less pointed than other examples that appeared shortly thereafter. So there's still some 40 copies left of the Gutenberg Bible, and I believe I've actually seen one. and my wife, both of us together. And that was quite the experience. We went to, it doesn't exist anymore. It's called the um, uh, Holy Land Experience, I believe is what it was called. And it, I enjoyed it. Both of us did. We saw different artifacts. They would import things, some from Israel, some from other countries that had like England and I think even Canada had things which were brought down there and loaned temporarily to the museum there at the Holy Land Experience. And so we got to see a lot of things. The map you see right here and behind me, that is what I bought there. And I like it. And now it makes a good background, but it also is informative. Whenever I write about that time, I can actually go there and look at the map and see where different things were located. So that's been this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. I look forward to talking to you next week. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I always try to inform you, encourage you, and inspire you. And hopefully I do that. And in any case, I hope you enjoy it enough to subscribe and to follow not only this, but my other podcasts and anything else I put out on YouTube. Well, you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode.